All right, let me tell you about my project. I created this for the Creative Programming for Digital Media and Mobile Apps course offered through Coursera in June of 2013. Earlier in the course, I worked on the Grateful Dead visualizer. The details are posted here. And then further down, we have the details about my second project, which is called TestyTrebuchet. And the link to this detail can be found right here, which is wiki.ggc.edu/wiki/Charlotte's Creative Programming Projects. Okay, so my project is experimentation with the JBox 2D environment, building a physical model of a trebuchet. So what I always thought would be fun would be to build a trebuchet and put that into Angry Birds instead of the catapult. And I was also curious, because I never really studied them in that much detail, exactly how they worked and how they compared to other ancient war machines like catapults and siege engines and things like that. So I learned that a trebuchet works kind of like a golf swing, so I use that as my model, and I use golf games as my model, and you'll see that when we illustrate the game here shortly. So interactively, as in a golf game, you depress the mouse or you initiate a click action, and that kind of raises the swing, which raises the counterweight on the trebuchet until you release the mouse, in which case it stops rising, and then it falls based on gravity and swings a lever that's on an opposing arm that's got a sling attached to it, and then a final click will actually release the projectile. You'll see that there are some other hotkeys implemented. You can do a reset with R. You can quit with Q. If you're impatient waiting for the boulder to vanish, you can hit arm and rearm the weapon immediately. You can pause the game, or you can turn the sounds on and off, which we'll probably see here in a little bit. I built this with Processing 2.0 purely on the desktop. I didn't explore moving it to a browser or Android or iOS. I've included lots of references that you can check out, and also as I was working through this, like happens with many programming projects, I had lots of ideas for things to try out and directions to take it. So I'd already invested a fair amount of time in building what's here, so I didn't pursue these, but I thought it'd be great to kind of capture them. It's always good to capture your future work and note it so that when you come back, it'll come right back to you. Okay, so what's the code look like? Here we go. Here's the code. It's got a series of different components that I created. It uses Box2D, and it uses some wrappers that were created by Daniel Schiffman. References to those can be found in his online book, The Nature of Code. I provided the link for that in my references. I also use the Maxim library that was provided by the course authors, and the rest of it is pretty much pure processing. Now, rather than go through the detail of that code, I'll give you a link to where you can retrieve it if you'd like to investigate it further. If you go to github.com/rjlutz/trebuchet, you will find the code and the assets here. Okay, how about a demo of TestyTrebuchet? So gameplay is similar to Angry Birds. We're going to use this weapon on the left, we're going to attack this structure on the right, and our goal is to knock it down. We'll have 5 tries. So let's start off by pressing the play button. There we go. And turn the volume up a little bit. Okay. Now, the weapon operation is a little bit different than what you may be used to with Angry Birds. So it's going to work this way. We're going to click and hold the mouse button on the mouse, and once I do that, this block that stabilizes the counterweight, which is here, will disappear. The counterweight will begin to rise, and it will continue to rise until I release the mouse button. Once I release the mouse button, then gravity takes over, pulls the counterweight back down, and then this lever on the other side of the pivot will rotate correspondingly, and then this sling that's hanging at the end of the lever will rotate as well. So let's demonstrate that. Here we go. Depress it, release it, and click. So that final click tells the trebuchet when it's going to release. And we got very lucky on that one. We succeeded in knocking down the structure on the very first attempt. So let's play again. And we will start and release. And that was a pretty bad throw. Got a lot of height, but not a lot of distance. And you'll see that the densities of the boulder and the structure are pretty high, so that it takes a few attempts to knock these things down. Let's see if I can do a little bit better. Look at that. Ooh, I'm really messed up. Okay, you'll see that the physics is pretty true to what's going on. And what's really nice and revealing is it gives you a feel for the way the physics really work for a trebuchet, as I can tell. Now, I'm intentionally banging that on the ground because that also models the way trebuchets typically are used. They start with a sling on the ground, which gets more, I guess, angular momentum going in the sling at the release point. We try a little bit more of a modest release here. There we go. We've only got 2 tries left. We'll see if we can succeed still. So there we go. There's not quite enough there. We'll try one more time. There we go. Oh, that was a late release. Not so good. Probably going to lose. Well, maybe we'll squeak it out. And let's see what happens. And I think we succeeded. All right, so when we start one more game, we'll demonstrate some of the sounds. We can, or the hotkeys. I can mute my sound with the S key. I can pause the game. So if I come here and release, get a nice throw, and hit the P key, I can pause in the middle of the action and then resume. I can also rearm the weapon. So if I am impatient, I got a bad throw, I can hit the A key and rearm, and then we're ready for the next try. Let's see if we succeed on this one. I don't think, you never know. Okay, and then finally I can use the Q key to